Indonesia, Tzu Chi volunteers help a lady with congenital skin disease to receive treatment. In Malaysia, Tzu Chi volunteers help an Indonesian immigrant worker who became paralyzed due to illness. Selamat datang ke DaAi Headlines, saya Simon Gan. Terima kasih menyertai sesi berita kita. Monik, who lives in Kampung Simpak, Indonesia, suffers from congenital diseases. With the help of Tzu Chi volunteers, she found a doctor to treat the disease and is finally able to smile once again.
I was born with skin disease. The doctor said it was congenital. It was more serious back then. My forehead and my whole body were all sweaty. I dare not go out.
Monik, who is 19 years old, is young and beautiful. Yet, because of her genes, she felt inferior and could not go to school. With the help of volunteers, she and her sisters went to Tzu Chi Hospital to consult a dermatologist who specially prescribed an ointment so that they can regain beauty and self-confidence.
I've
been praying to God and finally I got my solution. I met Tzu Chi and Dr. DC. I'm really very grateful.
Tzu Chi volunteers went to care for Kampung Simpak's residents regularly and also realized the difficulties of this family. Their main income comes from sorting 10 bags of PET bottles. In 2 weeks, they can earn $6. Not only the daughters, but also the mother suffers osteoporosis and needs to go to the hospital for medical treatment.
Thank you, Tzu Chi, for giving me the transportation fee. I come across good doctors to help my children so that they won't feel pain anymore.
With their pain alleviated, they have more gratefulness in their heart. Although they have led a simple life, their spirit becomes more fruitful.
In Bekasi, Indonesia, a group of young people have created a free restaurant, serving 400 sets of hot food each day to the public. Take a look.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, the vulnerable groups in Indonesia were hit hardest. Seeing that many families are facing difficulties, this group of young people was deeply moved, so they took the initiative to provide venues to set up free restaurants. Working in the auto car industry, Oki is willing to share a portion of his salary to provide free lunches to disadvantaged groups and taxi drivers. In a small house in Bekasi, he led 5 friends to prepare 400 free hot meals every Monday to Friday, also providing charcoal to residents in need in the face of daily difficulties.
Salah satu dari adanya rumah makan gratis ini
The free restaurant was set up for the convenience and assistance to local people affected by the epidemic, online taxi drivers.
As long as they wear a mask and wash their hands before entering the house, every resident can come and enjoy a lunch for free. This righteous act brings warmth to the surrounding community. This taxi driver who came to collect the meals say that since this free restaurant opened, he has saved the money on meals.
I come out in the morning and I usually get only 2 or 3 customers. When this free restaurant was established, I will come to eat here. I hope that there will be more free restaurants like this in the future to alleviate the burden of disadvantaged families.
This free restaurant, open every day from 11 noon to 5 p.m., hopes that through such actions, enthusiasm of all sectors of society will be inspired to do more for the public good.
I hope that the establishment of a free restaurant will first of all help the disadvantaged and secondly, inspire capable people to also set up free restaurants in various regions.
Since March last year, the Indonesian government converted the Asian Games Athletes Village into an emergency COVID hospital. With a daily increase in the number of confirmed cases, many doctors needed to live long-term in this athletes' village. Here's more.
This is Afrena, a doctor who is on the front line of COVID pandemic who is living in the Asian Games Athletes Village in central Jakarta. She is the first doctor ever to deliver a baby in this temporary hospital. The news was once all the rage on domestic social media. She wears several layers of masks, gloves, face shields, and airtight medical protective clothing every day. At the age of 38 this year, she had to accept the reality of separation from her family, faithfully performing her duties as a doctor. She has been a doctor for 10 years and spends time to keep in touch with her family even though she is busy.
Saya senang, puji Tuhan saya bisa menolong ibu dan anak tersebut.
I feel very happy to be able to deliver a baby to a pregnant woman. I am proud of myself because this is the first time for a baby to be delivered in a temporary hospital. The condition of the baby is very healthy. When the child's mother amniotic fluid broke, I helped her with a natural childbirth right away.
Ketuban pecah, saya langsung proses dan pimpin persalinan secara normal kepada pasien tersebut.
Being able to go home with peace of mind and seeing the child's purest smile is a motivation for her to stick to these important duties.
Langsung koordinasikan dengan IGD di sini.
We immediately coordinate with the emergency room, arranging the patient to go to the designated hospital, which was not very far away.
During the pandemic, medical staff bear the greatest physical and psychological burden. A head nurse at the Asian Games Athletes Village said that she had not seen her family for more than 2 months, as she can only chat with her family through video chat. Let's take a look at the story.
Mas, Mama mau naik jaga ya. Hari ini Mama jaga sore.
Mom is on duty. Today, Mom is on the evening shift. Bless me. Yes, I will be very careful. Thank you. You must also be careful at home. Don't forget to take vitamins and exercise. Okay, bye-bye.
Iya, Ma. Iya, Assalamualaikum.
This is the daily routine of the frontline medical staff at the Jakarta Asian Games Athletes Village, which has been turned into a temporary COVID hospital. They care for patients and also have to be mothers and care for their children. Being a frontline nurse to care for patients and shouldering sacred duties of being a mother is a dual responsibility. Face masks, medical masks, and protective clothing have become their necessary armor in this war against COVID. Although it is incumbent to wear white medical clothes, which is their main responsibility, the danger of the mission is the same, and the family will inevitably have concerns. Before taking care of patients with COVID, she usually takes time out to have a video call with her children. From greeting to saying goodbye, there must be video calls before she goes on duty so that the children at home can also know that their mother is fighting in this most noble medical mission.
Mungkin sedang rindu ya, hanya sedang rindu saja sama mamanya.
If my child misses me, he will call me and ask me what I'm doing. I replied that mother is on duty. When I asked him what's up, he only replied that he wanted to hear his mother's voice and then hung up.
In the hospital, she is the head nurse of the temporary COVID hospital, while at home, she is a wife and a mother who needs to help children do homework and observe her child's health and development. Although it can be only done online, they look forward to one day returning home to reunite with family members as soon as possible. This is just a simple and sincere wish of frontline medical staff who have love in their hearts so that another life can shine on.
In Malaysia, there was an Indonesian immigrant worker who became paralyzed due to illness. Upon learning of her plight, Tzu Chi volunteers provided emergency financial aid and helped her return to Indonesia. Here's more.
The Indonesian immigrant worker has worked in Malaysia for many years. At age 42, she had complications due to high blood pressure and became paralyzed after her heartbeat had stopped temporarily.
I've taken care of her for 3 months. Since there's no one else to care for her, I stopped working to take care of her.
In this month, he has used up his savings and cannot continue to take care of her. He looks for work between 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. to support himself.
The immigrant worker relies on her friends and former employer for daily living. Upon learning of her plight, city volunteers arranged for Terima doctors to provide care to her.
Telan, baby. Telan, sini telan. Telan. Ah, bagus tu, macam tu.
City volunteers provide emergency financial aid and also help her return to her hometown.
Okay.
Today, all of us came to visit her. and she seemed very happy. From looking at her face and body, one can see she seemed happy, as if she has let go. She wants to see her family back home.
However, after she returned to Indonesia, she has passed away before she was able to see her family members.
In Taiwan, there is a lack of medical resources in rural areas. Therefore, Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital and Pingxi District Public Health Center have worked closely to establish a Green Pass service for dementia diagnosis, solving the difficulties of insufficient care resources.
Li Jiafu, a physician in the Department of Physical and Mental Medicine at Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital, has been caring for patients with dementia in Pingxi since 2017, and the health center has begun to make dementia a priority in public health and care.
怎么了？阿嬷怎么了？那时候我们大概就有跟李家厚李医师，我们做一个。
Back then, we had a discussion with Dr. Li Jiafu on how to find out nearly 130 elderly people with potential dementia in Pingxi. So at that time, we used a dementia assessment that was easier to do. The assessment form was 88.
所以当时候我们就是用一个比较容易做的失智症的那个评估量表，就 AD8。
Through the 2-month free clinic conducted by Terima volunteers, home visitations by Director Lin, and public health nurses, neighborhood chiefs' notifications, and the elderly health checkups, the elderly in Pingxi can be thoroughly screened for dementia.
只要 AD8 大于等于2的，我们就会请他到。
As long as the evaluation number of 88 is greater than or equal to 2, we'll invite him to the health clinic and I'll evaluate it again. After all, I'm a neurologist, and it is my duty to treat dementia.
来，周志成，记醒哦，反正咱即摆戴口罩都免惊伊的。
Pingxi Public Health Center at Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital have further cooperated to establish one-step dementia care plan.
早期筛检，然后在地复检。
Early screening, then local re-examination, referral care confirmation, and then sent to local medical care. After doing these steps, if there are any problems, I'll rewrite a referral letter to Dr. Li Jiafu of Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital. When the patients go to the hospital, Dr. Li will do dementia assessment again.
Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital mainly conduct dementia diagnosis and integrates the time of multiple examinations in a Green Pass method and completes them all at once.
今天是谁陪你来的？什么人陪你来？有可以听得懂吗？听不懂。好，好，那没有关系。
这群长辈，他在社区里面，他本来其实他。
This group of elders in the community thought they would be fine if we didn't step in. They thought why they have to go to the hospital to check and still can't get results at once. They have to go for a second blood draw, a CT scan for the 3rd time, and a memory evaluation for the 4th time. Totally, it takes 4 trips to diagnose dementia. It may take 1 hour's drive and 2 hours back and forth. It's impossible to do it. So we make arrangements in advance to set up appointments after 2 weeks, including doing memory evaluation, CT scan, and blood draw. We all finish them all at once.
一次把它给到位完成。
哦，你好，你好。
Dr. Li Jiafu and dementia care team walk out the clinic and regularly visit Pingxi every 2 months to protect the local elderly through companionship and care.
Affected by the pandemic, many performing groups are unable to go on tour. However, the pandemic served as a catalyst of creativity as NTCH launched the next theatre project. Follow a report as we learn more.
Facing cities allow artists from 2 different countries to communicate through technology, creativity, and emotions. Like a magic mirror, the performance reflected the world we live in.
At the experimental theater, the phone screen got bigger. Taiwan's very theater, along with Netherlands' work performance group, originally planned to work under the same location. Unfortunately, COVID-19 had separated the 2 groups as new co-working methods had to be thought out.
This time we want to use technologies we utilize in our daily lives, like the phone on your hand. There's Skype installed in it. It provides the function of video calls facing cities. No matter if it's about long distances, it's not just a performance because it has multiple journeys involving several conversations.
The stage displays a room including a bed, table, and chair. The stage setup is replicated on the stage in Netherlands. As technology trends in modern times, people may be in similar environments, yet located in different countries. As a result, the internet has become the common ground for most people.
No matter how fast our internet connection is, we still are separated by thousands of kilometers. The internet brought us together. What exactly is tangible? So we thought of light, and we decided to have a completely dark theater. With just a bit of light through our camera, the light may shine onto the other theater across the screen.
Performers from 2 different countries met in this digital space, having creative conversations while pondering on the issue of if the digital space provided distance or intimacy.
For example, if we video called and you wanted to touch me, you might touch your camera lens. So we wanted to allow the audience to feel that their body is being digitized. So through the video call on screen, when one talks, which is his body at, is it on the screen?
Zhou Dongyan is passionate about film and theater, as his work once received awards from the OISTAT. The play Chronicle of Lightyear, Taipei and Copenhagen, introduces 2 people from Taipei and Copenhagen. The lonely souls meet one another in the seemingly non-existent space.
Holographic projection was discovered in the 19th century since a person thought of reflecting images under large glass panels and placed it in a theater. Sometimes holographic projection was even used in churches. The team from Denmark thought of different ways to use holographic projection and then studied the technology behind it. Afterwards, I tried to connect the story with the team.
Technology is cool and amazing, yet we must think of the fundamentals of theater. Is it when we can feel one another, or to feel the breath of another? Breaking traditional theater barriers, fairy theater invites the audience into performance as they may communicate with actors. This really inspires thought on our relationships with one another when technology is the one dominating our lives.
I think many people have questions about this. When we are close with technology, we're actually not surrounded by it completely. It is actually very two-sided. It's far, distant, yet close and intimate. It's like we can't leave it, yet it is so distant from us.
Especially during the pandemic, at this moment we're video calling. When technology dominates our daily lives, how much do we really know about each other?
At the end of last year, the Ministry of Economic Affairs issued an incentive plan to encourage the private sector to set up power plants in communities. Small-scale hydropower became one of the rising stars, potentially providing agricultural lighting. Here's more.
The weather now is so unstable. It's always either very hot or very cold. Illumination helps it grow, so it can become a drought. If this happens, it must be replanted.
In the winter, bamboo shoot fields are lit up for 11 hours at night.
The power consumption here is quite a lot, as the monthly electricity bill for a lamp is about $20 US.
Puli is the largest producer of white bamboo shoots in Taiwan, accounting for 80% of the total production in Taiwan. In order to adapt to climate change, farmers have changed their planting cycles and electricity consumption has skyrocketed.
One lamp consumes up to 400 watts of energy.
Tzu Chi grew up in Puli and worked at Taipower for nearly 30 years. He has a sense of duty to make lighting for the bamboo shoots both cost-effective and environmentally friendly.
If we can change it to LED lighting, one lamp may use less than 200 watts, and it can be widely used on our farmland and roads. The most popular is ground installation, as we want to produce clean energy.
Drawing and researching on his own, he asked the factory to make this unique water turbine and then set it in a small ditch near a home.
It must be considered for the water volume and load. Now it has already begun to rotate, which drives a generator, and the electricity generated has been sent here.
The idea proved feasible, but the power generation is not enough to support the electricity needed by these lamps.
its thrust is not enough. The reason is the water volume, as there is no way to flow into this flow rod.
你这几多买？
开6万几块。
电你该接的。
这个我学电的，当然就是要动手。它的水量应该。
The most important thing is that it can be stored. Solar and wind cannot be stored. If you want to store it, you need to match it with a battery. If you want to store it, it'll be an extra burden.
According to Thai Power statistics, the cost of obtaining green energy calculated per watt indicates wind power is about 2 NT, while solar is 3.82 NT, and conventional hydropower is only 1.36 NT, making it the most economical.
It is done by a power plant. There are not so many locations, as we hope to expand to a 3-dimensional surface, as we need to rely on the power of the people.
你供电是绝对没有问题，照明绝对没有。那你再开2个风扇，因为温室里面叫通风嘛。
The 992 square meter greenhouse has lighting which is powered by a small water ditch next to it. As long as this micro hydroelectric power is installed, it is enough, especially now that it is raining, as there are abundant water sources making electricity more sufficient.
We used to install 10 watts lights every 5 meters each. We had about 20 pieces, which is only 200 watts. LED is very cheap and the lights are very bright. We don't have to put a power line here, as the electricity is generated by micro-hydraulic power. The electricity is really small, but we save money and there is a battery to supply this electricity. It's definitely more than enough. We're not greedy and do it every day for about 2 hours before going home.
There are about 5,000 sites in Taiwan, which can be used for hydropower generation very quickly. If all of them are fully utilized, we will probably get 2.7 gigawatts of electricity in the future.
In addition to visible water canals, there are also sewage pipelines that are not normally seen, which can also be used to generate electricity.
Sewage treatment plants in the industrial areas can calculate a lot of data and know the discharge volume and other data.
Upstream is Wujie Dam and downstream is Sun Moon Lake. The 15-kilometer water diversion tunnel is hidden among the undulating mountains. After passing through the mountain recess in Dongguan community, only 800 meters are exposed, named Xiangtianzhen.
If we use current electricity calculations at $3 NT per kilowatt hour, it may be billions of US dollars that we could earn in electricity. It's a pity that we are so slow to do it.
At the end of 2020, the Ministry of Economic Affairs announced incentives to encourage people to create green energy in the community. Dongguan community is eager to try and is expected to open the first small hydropower civilian power plant in Taiwan.
Involving the entire power generation of Sun Moon Lake, the flow rate released by Wujie Dam is fixed. This is no problem. Even in the dry season, the detected flow rate results are still very impressive.
The small river in front and hillsides all around mean that these pipelines all have the opportunity to generate electricity and even operate as a civilian power plant to eventually sell electricity. The long-term forgotten small hydropower ultimately depends on whether it can be properly used.
In Malacca, Malaysia, a New Year blessing ceremony was held recently, with volunteers happy to receive the masters with envelopes of blessing and wisdom. We'll leave you these images. Thank you and goodbye.